This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening, I'm Robert Floyd, your town moderator, and this is the Town Moderator Annual Town Meeting Information Session where I read the articles that's going to be on the warrant for our town meeting, which is going to be Tuesday, May 7th, 7 o'clock at the William E. Norris School, 34 Pomeroy Road, Middle Road. Article 1. Transfer from free cash to operational stabilization to replenish it for use for Hampshire Regional Assessment. To see if the town will vote to transfer, appropriate an amount totaling $350,387 to the Operation Stabilization Fund account to replenish what was used in the fiscal 2024 budget process for the Hampshire Regional School Assessment account from free cash or take any other action relative thereto. Article 2, transfer from free cash to the Operating Stabilization Fund. To see if the town will vote to transfer, appropriate $50,358 to the Capital Stabilization Fund, said sum to be taken from free cash or take any other action relative thereto. Article 3, transfer from free cash to the Capital Stabilization Fund. To see if the town will vote to transfer, appropriate $58,751 to the Capital Stabilization Fund. Said sum to be taken from free cash or take any other action relative thereto. Article 4, transfer from free cash to the OPEB Fund. To see if the town will vote to transfer, appropriate $16,786 to the other post-employment benefits OPEB account. Said sum to be taken from free cash or take any other action relative thereto. Article 5, establish Capital Project Stabilization Fund for Hampshire Regional High School. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Hampshire Regional High School to establish a capital project stabilization fund in accordance with Chapter 71, Section 16G1/2 of the Massachusetts General Laws, or take any other action in the matter. The aggregate amount in the fund at any time shall not exceed 5% of the combined equalized valuations of the member municipalities. Article 6. Transfer for fiscal 25 capital requests. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $109,243 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to fund the purchase of ADA doors, library light replacement, Norris resurfacing of gym floors, library septic pump, Norris structural building, library flooring, highway roof repairs, HVAC mini split, or taking any other action relative thereto. Article 7, annual operating budget for fiscal 2025. To see if the town will vote to fix the salaries of all elected officials for the fiscal year 2025 for the period for July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, and further to raise and appropriate $21,048,702.72 monies as identified in town's annual operating budget from taxation, $17,500 from WPAT loan, $250,000 from ambulance fees as attached for fiscal year 2025, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 8. Water Enterprise Fund Fiscal 2025 Budget. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds to operate the water enterprise according to the following budget. Salaries and wages, $286,427. Operating expenses, $267,356.24. Capital outlay, $50,000. Indirect cost, $157,599. Debt services, $237,392.26 for a total of $998,774.50. And that $900,964.88 be raised from water enterprise revenues, $97,809.62 from retained earnings, and $157,599 be appropriated in general fund, indirect costs, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 9. Transfer Station Enterprise Fund 2025 budget. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a transfer from available funds to operate the transfer station enterprise according to the following budget. Wages, $41,156. Operating expenses, $165,215. Environmental compliance, $11,500. Indirect costs, $19,975 for a total of $237,846. And that $209,210 be raised from transfer station enterprise revenues, $28,636 to be transferred from the general funds, and $19,975 to be appropriated in general fund, indirect costs, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 10, acquisition of 89 Clark Street Senior Center. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to acquire by gift, purchase, eminent domain, or otherwise a certain parcel of land with any improvements thereon located at 89 Clark Street, consisting of 7.24 acres more or less, and being assessors map 28 lot 7B for the site of a senior center, said acquisition to be funded by monies donated by the state of David Parsons, and further to authorize the select board to enter into all agreements and take all related actions necessary or appropriate to carry out said acquisition and other acts authorized herein upon such terms and conditions as the select board may deem appropriate, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 11, acquisition of property off College Highway debt exclusion. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to acquire by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain on such terms and conditions as the select board deems in the best interest of the town, property located off College Highway containing 52 acres, more or less, identified as assessors parcels map 19 to 141, map 19 to 144, and map 24-15, being the property described in a deed recorded with the Hampshire Registry of Deeds in Book 14641, page 304, for general municipal purposes, including, without limitation, for a public safety complex and other uses. Further, to raise an appropriate transfer from available funds and/or borrow a sum of money for the acquisition of said property and costs incidental or related thereto, and authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, to borrow all or a portion of said sum under General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore, provided, however, that the appropriation authorized hereunder shall be contingent upon approval by the voters of a ballot question to exclude the amounts to pay for the bonds or notes authorized for this purpose from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called, and further, to authorize the select board to execute any and all documents and take all other action necessary or convenient to accomplish the foregoing, or take any other action relative thereto. Financial transfers section. Article 12, transfers for Police Department operating 2024 expenses. To see if the town will vote to transfer an amount totaling $44,000 from the police wages account to police operating budget accounts as listed below. Amount $20,000 from police wages account to police expense account. Reason, unexpected cost. Amount $24,000 from police wages account to police overtime account unexpected cost. Said sums to come from the fiscal 2024 accounts listed above or take any other action relative thereto. Article 13, transfer for assistance to firefighters grant. To see if the town would transfer a total of $43,600 from EMT wages to an account assistant to firefighters grant match for the acquisition of a tanker truck, $22,400, and SCBA, 11,200 units for the fire department if the town receives one or both grants or take any action relative thereto. Amount $43,600 from EMT wages to the assistance grant match. Reason, grant match. Said sums to come from the fiscal 2024 accounts listed above or take any other action relative thereto. Article 14, transfer of funds for town hall maintenance. To see if the town will vote to transfer an amount totaling $3,500 from the group health insurance account to town hall accounts as listed below. Amount $3,500 from group health insurance to town hall maintenance. Reason, maintenance. Said sums to come from the fiscal 2024 accounts listed above or take any other actions relative thereto. Article 15, transfer for town hall, Wi-Fi, and IT improvements. To see if the town will vote to transfer an amount totaling $15,000 from the assistant accountant wages account to town hall IT services as listed below. Amount $15,000 from assistant accountant wage to town hall IT services. Reason, upgrade Wi-Fi. Said sums that come from the fiscal 2024 accounts listed above or take any other action relative thereto. Article 16, transfers for salary. To see if the town will vote to transfer an amount totaling $4,090.57 from the assistant accountant account to town administrator salary account as listed below. Amount $4,090.57 from the assistant accountant to town administrator salary. Reason, salary. Said sums to come from the fiscal 2024 accounts listed above or take any other action relative thereto. General bylaw amendments section. Article 17, accept a new general bylaw, nuisance/peace and quiet. To see if the town will vote to accept and assign an E-Code 360 number to a new bylaw entitled Nuisance, Peace and Quiet, which reads as follows. Proposed new bylaw, Nuisance, Peace and Quiet. Section 1, purpose. This bylaw is enacted to protect, preserve, and promote the safety, health, welfare, peace, and quiet of the citizens of Southampton through the reduction, control, and prevention of loud and excessive noise or any noise which serves the reasonable comfort, repose, health, peace, or safety of reasonable persons of ordinary sensitivity. Excessive noise is prohibited in the town of Southampton between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Section 2, definitions. The following terms will have the meanings indicated below. Plainly audible, any sound from a source regulated by this bylaw that can be detected above routine or normal ambient background noise by unaided human hearing. For example, if music is playing, the words or instrumentation is discernible, or if a conversation is occurring, the words and context of a conversation can be understood. Sound amplification system. Any fixed or portable system to operate or amplify sound, including but not limited to radio, television, stereo, record player, cassette tape player, compact disc player, digital music player, boombox, or loudspeaker. Excessive noise, any noise which emanates from any building, boat, structure, vehicle, premises, or any sound amplification system which has a volume that is plainly audible from aforementioned locations in which or from which it originates is considered to be loud, disturbing, injurious, unnecessary, and unlawful. Section 3, violations. Excessive noise is prohibited in the town of Southampton between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. It shall be unlawful for any person or persons to create, assist in creating, continue, or allow to continue any excessive noise as defined above. The following acts are determined to be loud, disturbing, injurious, unnecessary, and unlawful noises in violation of this section, but this enumeration shall not be exclusive, namely, excessive noise produced by motor vehicle, motorcycle, dirt bikes, and all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, by their horns, engines, or exhaust systems. Excessively amplified audio systems originating from a residence, motor vehicle, or any other source, and including but not limited to radios, other audio systems, televisions, musical instruments, loudspeakers, recorders, or other electronic sound-producing devices in such a manner or with volume at any time or place as to annoy or disturb the reasonable quiet, comfort, or repose of persons in any type of residence or in any office or of any persons in the vicinity. Noise from idling truck. No person shall operate an engine of any standing motor vehicle with a weight in excess of 10,000 pounds, gross vehicle weight, GVW, for a period in excess of 10 minutes when such vehicle is parked on a residential property or on a street or away abutting residential property, except where such vehicle is standing within a completely enclosed structure. This section shall not apply to delivery or pickup vehicles that require the operation of the engine to unload or load their cargo or equipment. Continuous shouting, singing, or other loud noises on the public streets with volume at any time or place as to annoy or disturb the reasonable quiet, comfort, or repose of persons in any type of residence or in any office or of any persons in the vicinity, and domestic animal noises that cause frequent or long continuing noise which shall disturb the reasonable comfort or repose of any person. Section 4, exceptions. The following shall be excepted from the application of the nuisance, peace, and quiet bylaw. Emergency vehicles, any police or fire vehicle, or any ambulance while engaged in necessary emergency response, public safety, or law enforcement responsibilities. Highway and public utility maintenance vehicles, necessary storm preparation, snow removal, power outages, street sweeping, evacuation of or repairs to bridges, streets, or highways, or any public utility installation. I said excavation, not evacuation. Or on behalf of the town, or any public utility, or any agency of the Commonwealth. Public address systems, the reasonable use of amplifiers or loudspeakers for public addresses which are non-commercial in nature and for the purpose of providing important information to the public. This includes systems used at sanctioned sporting events, fairs, parades, music, festivals, concerts, or other public events as authorized by the Select Board. Agriculture-related, noises resulting from any farm animals or activities of any agricultural operation protected by the right to farm bylaw. Generators and pumps operating during emergencies and power outages. Snow plows, snow blowers operating outside the time frame stated in this bylaw due to an unexpected weather event and/or for access to a home or business. Noise associated with homeowner or contractor work is allowed between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. on weekdays. Any fire or burglar alarm or other emergency signaling devices, provided that such devices are arranged to shut off automatically after not more than 30 minutes of operation. Any noise produced by domestic or agricultural equipment, such as, but not limited to, lawnmowers, tractors, trash removal, power saws, and snow blowers, used exclusively in the construction, maintenance, or repair of building or grounds between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., provided that such equipment be operated with a working muffler and/or a sound reduction device while in use. Section 6, Enforcement Provisions. Any police department, fire department, building commissioner, inspector, or the designee acting within their jurisdictional areas is hereby authorized under this bylaw by the town of Southampton to enforce. Non-compliance with this town-approved bylaw is subject to non-criminal ticketing per violation, $25 for first offense, $50 for second offense, and $100 for the third and all subsequent offenses as established under the Non-Criminal Violation Fine Penalty Schedule, Chapter 203F. Article 18, accept the new general bylaw, Board of Registers. Purpose: every city and town must have a board of registers or election commission whose responsibility are provided for by state law, in which include but not limited to registering voters, making local listings of residents, preparing voting lists, certifying signatures on nomination papers and petitions, investigating objections and challenges to local nomination papers, certifying absent voter applications, administering election recounts, and overseeing voter resident challenges. Composition: pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Subchapter 15, the Board of Registrars Board will be comprised of 4 members, 3 appointed by the Select Board, each for 3-year terms. Town clerk shall serve as the 4th and ex officio member. Membership must include representatives from the 2 leading political parties, Republican and Democratic, with no more than 2 members of each of these parties, and may also include unenrolled residents. As the terms of the registrars expire or a vacancy occurs on the Board of Registrars, the Select Board shall appoint their successors in the manner provided for in Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Subchapter 15. Every appointment shall be made by the Select Board from a list to be submitted to them by the Town Committee of the political parties from which the position is to be filled. The names of candidates on said list from the respective political parties shall include the names of 3 enrolled members of such party, selected by a majority vote at a duly called meeting, at which a quorum of the town committee is present. Unenrolled residents may submit applications to the Select Board and/or its designee for consideration to fill a vacancy on a Board of Registers. If the chair of the respective town committee has not submitted such a list to the Select Board within 45 days after being notified of the vacancy by certified mail, the Select Board shall make the appointment without reference to any such list. Qualifications: must be registered voter in Southampton, and if a member of a party, must be registered continuously in specified party for 2 years prior to the appointment. May hold no other office in the town, state, or federal government. Certain exceptions are provided for by law. Must be willing to subscribe an oath to faithfully perform the duties of a registrar. May not serve as chair, treasurer, or other principal officer of any political committee. Responsibilities. The Board of Registrar's duties are set forth in state law and include, without limitation, as follows. The Board oversees the voter registration process and maintenance of voter registration records. When probable cause or sufficient grounds exist, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 51, subchapters 47B, 48, the Board may summon voters to appear before the Board for a hearing about the qualifications of a registered voter. The Board is responsible to certify signatures on nomination papers and petitions. Registrars meet after general election to count return ballots from overseas voters, if any. The Board presides over election recounts and assists the town clerk in preparing local election calendars. Meetings are held monthly and as needed in accordance with general election requirements. The Board may hold additional voter registration sessions outside of normal office hours. They may be called upon to address voter-related issues in the clerk's office on election day. Agenda and minutes are available for Board of Registrars meetings consistent with the provisions of Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subchapters 18 to 25. Article 19, Amendment to General Bylaws. Article 11, Keeping of Unregistered Vehicles. To see if the town will vote to change the town bylaw entitled The Keeping of Unregistered Vehicles by renumbering it per E Code 360, amending existing language as noted below, deleting existing language with a strike-through, and replacing with new language shown in bold-faced text, which reads as follows. Article 11, The Keeping of Unregistered Motor Vehicles. And what I'm going to read is all crossed out until I say it isn't. Section 1, the keeping of more than one unregistered motor vehicle assembled or disassembled except a person licensed under General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 59, on any premises shall not be permitted unless said motor vehicles are stored within an enclosed building. Section 2, a special permit to keep more than one registered vehicle on any premises not within an enclosed building may be granted by the Select Board if it finds that such keeping in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this bylaw will not adversely affect the neighborhood and will not be a nuisance. Section 3, all such permits granted shall limit the number of unregistered motor vehicles to be kept on a premise by the permit holder, shall not run with the land, and shall be limited to a reasonable length of time. Section 4, this article shall not apply to motor vehicles which are designed and used for farming. Section 5, whoever violates any provisions of the article of the bylaw shall be liable to a penalty of $10 per day of violation, commencing 10 days following the date of receipt of written notice from the Select Board. This ends the cross-outs. This is new language. Proposed amended Article 11, unregistered vehicles. The purpose of this bylaw is to provide a mechanism for regulating, subject to reasonable and appropriate controls, the storage of unregistered vehicles within the town of Southampton. The bylaw simultaneously protects and preserves the residential atmosphere of the town. Section 2, exemptions. This chapter shall not apply to motor vehicles or trailers in operating condition registered pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Subchapter 2. Farm vehicles, a single recreation vehicle or a single camping boat or utility trailer in operating condition which is being registered seasonally. Section 3, definitions. Vehicle, any motor vehicle defined as such in Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Subchapter 1, requiring registration pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Subchapter 2, to be operated on a public way. Farm vehicles, motor vehicles or trailers used exclusively and specifically by a farmer as defined in Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Subchapter 1. Garage, a building designed and constructed for the storage of motor vehicles for which a permit is required to erect or construct. For the purposes of this chapter, the term garage does not include any structure whose exterior walls and a roof are made of tarpaulin-type material. Operating condition, capable of being used in its existing conditions for the purpose for which it was designed. Not in operating condition, not capable of being used as such in its existing condition by reasons of being damaged or dismantled or failing to contain parts necessary for operation. Trailer, any vehicle or object on wheels defined as such as Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Subchapter 1. Vehicle cover, a cover designed specifically for the purpose of covering motor vehicles or trailers. For purpose of this chapter, a general purpose tarpaulin shall not be considered a vehicle cover if stored within public view. Section 4, storage of more than one unregistered non-operating vehicle or trailer. No property owner or any other person may store or permit to be stored more than one unregistered motor vehicle or trailer or more than one registered vehicle not in operating condition on said property owner's premises unless the vehicles are stored in a garage. A permit to store more than one unregistered vehicle or more than one registered vehicle not in operating condition is granted by the building commissioner inspector. The property owner or person in control of the property holds a Class 1 or Class 3 license for the sale of motor vehicles or trailers issued pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Subchapter 57 to 69. Any motor vehicle or trailer or major parts thereof, whether registered or unregistered, stored pursuant to this section that are not in operating condition shall, if visible from any public street or way or from any abutting property, be covered with a vehicle cover. Any farm vehicles used for replacement parts repair should be kept to a reasonable number to avoid adversely impacting the neighborhood. Section 5, a special permit to keep more than one unregistered motor vehicle on any premises not within an enclosed building may be granted by the building inspector commissioner after conducting an inspection and investigation of the property in question if they find that such keeping, A, will not adversely affect the neighborhood, and B, will not be a nuisance. All such permits are non-transferable and shall limit the number of unregistered vehicles to be kept on a premise by the permit holder and shall be limited to 6 months. Section 6, enforcement. The provisions of this bylaw shall be enforced by the building commissioner, inspector, police department, and our prosecuting officer of the town police department who will issue a written notice of violation. The building commissioner, inspector, shall be responsible for maintenance of records pertaining to violations and penalties imposed hereunder. Section 7. Once a written violation notice is issued, the owner or persons or entity in control of the property shall have 30 days to correct the violation without penalty. Penalties will go into effect on the 31st day of the violation. Section 8, violations and penalties. Whoever violates any provision of this bylaw by maintaining unregistered vehicles may be penalized by non-criminal disposition fines as provided in non-criminal disposition procedures and fines, Chapter 203, 3F, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Subchapter 21D. Each 30-day period during which a violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. Section 9, existing unregistered vehicles. Any property owner or any other person with the permission of the property owner who at the time this bylaw takes effect is in violation of any section of this bylaw shall have 180 days to come into compliance. Zoning articles. Article 20, update of zoning bylaw. To see if the town meeting will vote to amend the Code of Southampton in Chapter 275, zoning bylaws, in Table 1, use regulations by changing all references to, quote, use permitted by special permit by zoning board of appeals, and, quote, to, quote, use permitted by special permit from planning board, end quote, or any other action relative thereto. Community preservation articles. Article 21, annual community preservation program budget. To appropriate or reserve for later appropriation monies from Community Preservation Fund, annual revenues or available funds for the administrative expenses of the Community Preservation Committee, the payment of debt service, the undertaking of community preservation projects, and all other necessary and proper expenses for the year, or take any other action relative thereto. Proposed fiscal year 2025 community preservation budget. The Community Preservation Committee recommends that the following amounts be appropriated or reserved from fiscal year 2025 Community Preservation Fund revenues unless otherwise specified for fiscal year 2025 community preservation purposes, with each item considered a separate appropriation. Purpose and recommended amount, 2 columns. Appropriation, community preservation, $7,500. Community Preservation Committee administrative expenses, $7,500. Bond payment for 68 Palmery Meadow Road land, $51,100. Reserves, budgeted reserves, $322,060. Historic resources, $47,583. And community housing, $47,583. Article 22, CPA funding for 2024 grant match for greenway design. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $23,000 from Community Preservation Act funds to the Greenway Committee, said funds to be transferred from Community Preservation surcharges undesignated account for the purpose of matching grant funds from 2024 Mass Trails grants for Phase 3 of the Greenway bicycle and pedestrian path design, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 23, CPA funding for Historic Center Cemetery fence restoration. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $24,500 from Community Preservation Act funds to the Southampton Cemetery Commission for restoration and preservation of the Southampton Center Cemetery's previously damaged metal fence. Said funds to be transferred from Community Preservation surcharges, Historic Preservation account, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 24, CPA funding for acquisition of conservation restriction at former road reimbursement. To see if the town will vote to acquire by purchase, gift, eminent domain, or otherwise a conservation restriction on a parcel of land located on former road, Southampton, said parcel containing 25 acres, more or less, and being tax map 27 lot 4, or upon such portion of said property as the select board and or conservation commission determines to be in the best interest of the town, so long as said acquisition is supported by an appraisal, said conservation restriction to be under the care, custody, management, and control of the Conservation Commission pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40, Subchapter 8C, and further, to fund said acquisition, transfer the sum of $250,000 from the Community Preservation surcharges undesignated account, together with the sum of $20,000 previously appropriated for this purpose at the December 5, 2023 special town meeting. The remainder of the funds for said acquisition to be donated to the town from private or non-municipal sources, provided, however, that such funds should not be expended unless the town secures the amount of $900,000 or such lesser amount to fully fund the acquisition from private or non-municipal sources including but not limited to, from the Massachusetts Division of Conservation Services, to a landscape partnership grant, donation, and/or any grants or reimbursement programs in any way connected with the scope of this article, which funds so received shall be used to repay the sum transferred from the community preservation surcharges undesignated account, and further to authorize the select board and/or the Conservation Commission to apply for any and all grants or reimbursements and to enter into any and all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary or convenient to carry out the purposes of this article, or to take any other action relative thereto. Revolving funds. Article 25, establish revolving funds for health department inspections. To see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws of the town by adding a new section to subchapter 35 to 11 to establish and authorize revolving funds for use by certain town departments, boards, committees, agencies, or offices under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Subchapter 53E, 1/2, or take any other action relative thereto. To add, program or purpose, health inspections. Representative or board authorized to spend funds, Board of Health. Department receipts, health inspection receipts. Article 26, revolving fund spending limits. To see if the town will vote to set the revolving fund fiscal 2025 spending limits for such funds as follows, or take any other action relative thereto. 3 columns, program or purpose, use of fund, and fiscal 25 spending limit. Conservation, operating expenses, administrative expenses, $10,000. Conservation forestry, oversight and management of the conservation areas, including forested land, $20,000. Council on Aging van, payment for operation of COA van, $31,000. Dog licensing and control, expenses related to administration of licenses and dog control, $8,000. Electrical inspections, payment for electrical inspection services, $20,000. Fire department, brush services, fire chief to purchase brush firefighting equipment, $10,000. Park commission, operating expenses, administrative expenses, $10,000. Planning board, administrative expenses, $10,000. Planning board consultant costs, $15,000. Plumbing inspections, payment for plumbing inspection services, $20,000. Tax title related costs, $10,000. Weights and measures fees, $5,000. Zoning Board of Appeals, ZBA expenditures, $5,000. If approved, the town shall set the spending limit for the Board of Health revolving fund as follows. Health Department, inspectional services, $60,000. And that's it. We promise you an exciting evening, and if and when we need and the audience voters vote to go a second night, it would be Wednesday the following evening, May 8th. We're looking forward to seeing you at the annual town meeting, May 7th, Tuesday, William E. Norris School, 7 o'clock sharp. Bye.